Good news for Social Security recipients. An 8.7% rise in Social Security benefits could be on the horizon. That spells almost $150 extra per month next year for 70 million people depending on Social Security. The Social Security Administration announced the almost 9% increase as an adjustment to the cost of living. This is the largest cost of living adjustment since 1981, when it was increased by 11.2%. Retirees should see the extra funds in January's checks, but whether this extra boost is enough to keep up with inflation remains to be seen. That will depend on the U.S. economy between now and the end of the year. Tens of thousands of Venezuelans are provided a legal pathway to enter the U.S., but the DHS is using a Trump-era rule to return illegal crossers back to Mexico. The current administration may expand the legal pathway. Some experts say this could attract many more through chain migration. Here's NTD's Melina Wisecup with more details.
Immigrants from Venezuela arriving at the southern border have surged over the past few months. Unique encounters totaled 15,500 in 2022, rising further to 33,000 in September. That's compared to a monthly average of just 127 unique Venezuelan encounters from 2014 to 2019. In an attempt to ease the strain at the southern border, the Biden administration is creating a new pathway for 24,000 Venezuelans to legally enter the U.S. But for those who come illegally, they will be returned to Mexico, reviving the Trump-era's Title 42 rule.
But this administration wants to get rid of Title 42. So if they put this policy in place, part of which is that this Title 42 expulsions will now apply to Venezuelans, but then they get rid of Title 42, let's say several months from now, well then all they've done is create this flow of legally admitting people who are Venezuelan, and usually people who have relatives here. That's how that would work.
How much it will ease the strain is yet to be seen, as many who are weighing whether to cross illegally may continue to try.
Even though they will be returning Venezuelans now under Title 42, there's possibility for waivers and exceptions. They actually said that. Well, guess what? Why not take your chance? This administration is a soft touch.
The 100,000 Venezuelans already in the U.S. will be allowed to stay and seek asylum. The U.S. asylum system is currently grappling with a backlog.
If you look at the big picture, the greatest problem with the U.S. system is that it doesn't make the distinction between migrants and refugees. The asylum system itself shouldn't be hijacked by economic migrants.
The DHS has also announced a historic 65,000 H-2B work visas will be available next year. Reporting in Washington, D.C., Melina Wisecup, NTD News.
As the midterm elections draw near, the Republican Party is trying to reach out to more Latino voters. A majority of Hispanics vote Democrat, but former President Trump made significant gains in 2020.
I think that this election cycle in particular, it seems like Republicans across the country are trying to capitalize on the momentum they feel they have among Latino voters in the wake of the 2020 election. And it seems like they're really trying to expand the map, too, of where they're reaching out to Latinos.
In Milwaukee, Wisconsin, the GOP had been courting Latinos in the largely Hispanic South Side with unprecedented outreach efforts. Many Latino voters there say they're fed up with rampant lawlessness and spiraling inflation. Combine that with strong Christian values, and this traditionally Democratic voting bloc now appears more receptive to Republican candidates. The Republican Party's new Hispanic outreach organization is going door to door in Milwaukee's Latino neighborhoods. The GOP also set up a new field office in the area just a year ago. So what should the parties do to win over Hispanic voters? What policy issues are they most concerned about right now? Joining us to discuss the Hispanic vote, we have Javier Palomares, founder and CEO of the United States Hispanic Business Council. Javier Palomares, thank you so much for joining us on the Capitol Report.
Thanks for having me.
Javier, the coveted Hispanic vote, one might think based on the way mainstream media paints the picture that former President Trump and Republicans are anti-immigrant, that the Hispanic population would be running to the Democratic Party. However, it's just the opposite. Why do you think that is?
You know, I think it's a number of things, actually. To be truthful about it, President Trump had a good ground game when it came to the Hispanic community. They spend a lot of time in local markets talking to the Latino community. I remember being shocked in 2016 when he garnered 29% of the Hispanic vote. And then in 2020, he garnered nearly 40% of the Hispanic vote. Fast forward to where we are right now. Listen, it's a very difficult time for all American families and certainly for Hispanic families. And when you see, this kind of period of economic uncertainty, all families, including Hispanic families, begin to focus on the meat and potatoes issues, things like jobs, interest rates, inflation, energy costs. And historically, it's been the Republican Party that has really talked about those issues. And so I think it's a very natural thing that you're seeing Hispanics look for the answers that have not been provided heretofore, and they're looking for a home. Frankly, both parties have a lot of work to do as it relates to courting the Hispanic community, and it needs to begin by understanding that we are more than immigrants who care about immigration. Listen, we're business builders, we're job creators, we're taxpayers, we're frontline workers, we're educators, we're teachers, we're military men and women, we're Americans. And so it's important that both parties begin to engage our community in a very genuine and honest fashion, and frankly keep those issues that are worrying us, the economy, jobs, healthcare, immigration, yes, but down the line. Right now, we're focused on the things that the average American family is focused on.
Javier, the latest CPI numbers were released today. Inflation much higher than actually anticipated. I mean, this is a concern for all Americans, but how specifically will this impact the Hispanic community?
Well, we suffer disproportionately when these numbers begin to creep up. We're dealing with historic inflation numbers, the likes of which we haven't seen in 5 decades, perhaps. And as it relates to Hispanic business community specifically, we generally don't have the buildup of financial inventory. We don't have the networks, and so we don't enjoy the margins that larger businesses do. And so we are, in a very tenuous time for the Hispanic business community. And I think it's important that we recognize that those issues that impact the Hispanic business community are the same issues that impact all American small businesses. And in that context, I think it's important for all of us to remember that nearly 70% of the new jobs in this nation are actually created by the small and medium-sized companies, not the large conglomerates. And so these issues are real for our American business community. They are impactful disproportionately for minority-owned businesses and certainly Hispanic-owned businesses. So it's a very difficult time. We'll weather the storm because we always have, but it is a very difficult time. You've got rising interest rates, which equates to slow growth. You've got higher energy costs, which equates to higher operating expenses. And you've got record high inflation, which removes value from our outputs. So it is a proverbial, witch's brew of challenges that our American small business community is facing right now.
Javier, I want to touch upon immigration. You mentioned that on the list of issues, immigration is not maybe top of mind. But just out of curiosity, how does illegal immigration look through the lens of, say, a first-generation legal immigrant?
We are at the United States Hispanic Business Council. We always make a point of reminding our audiences that we are proud to advocate on behalf of businessmen and women who happen to be of Hispanic descent. But first and foremost, we are American businesses. Every tax bill we pay, every job we create, every product we manufacture, and every service we provide goes to benefit the American economy. And the only thing we're prouder of than being Hispanic is being American. We are a community of collaborators, of law-abiding, proud Americans. We are as concerned about illegal immigration as any community is. We understand that the human aspect of this very challenging issue, but the reality of it is, any political party would be making a grave mistake. As I said earlier, if they believe that we are nothing but immigrants who care about nothing more than immigration. We care about the issues that are important to all Americans. And we want to see, obviously, immigration fixed. Frankly, neither party has had the political will to get it done. We're looking for solutions because it impacts us, it impacts our businesses, just like it impacts every other American family.
Javier Palomares, really appreciate your perspective.
Thanks for having me. Good night.
A new poll has come out on the relationship between misinformation and political extremism. Most of those polled say misinformation is causing more hate crimes. The Pearson Institute and the Associated Press conducted the poll. About 3/4 of U.S. adults, according to the poll, say misinformation is leading to more extreme political views and behaviors such as hate crimes. The survey shows that regardless of political ideology, Americans agree misinformation is leaving a mark on the country. 91% of those polled say the spread of misinformation is a problem. 74% call it a major problem. Only 8% say misinformation is not a problem at all. Some of the best schools in the world are here in the United States. Next year, the U.S. is projected to have 34 of the top 100. But just 4 years ago, it was 43. A British education tracker called Times Higher Education shows American universities are losing ground, while universities in China are rising in rank. The number of Chinese universities on the top 100 list rose from 2 to 7. And according to ACT, one of the biggest U.S. college admissions test companies, average scores are lower than they've been in more than 30 years.